Only a short game guru can do that, Susie. Only a short game guru.
They call him the short game chef for a reason.
Mike Yagley, thank you for jumping on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're the head engineer at Foresight Sports.
Something like that, Parker. Yes. VP of Innovation and Technology. I'm just one of the team that's making really cool stuff happen.
I love it. Give me a little background about you in sort of your sort of golf journey.
So the golf journey started when I left Bowen years ago. Had an opportunity to jump into golf, and the old timers at Bowen are like, "What are you doing?" And the young guys are like, "Hell yes, go, 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 go." And found out quickly that the science of golf is very real, very hard, and very interesting. Was at Max Fly for a couple of years doing golf balls, Callaway doing golf balls and innovation, and then 14 years at Cobra doing golf club innovation. And through that whole time, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you wanted to either make it better, you wanted to fit it the best you could, you wanted to swing it better, you got to measure the heck out of it. You got to measure the club coming in, the ball going out. And I had an opportunity to go over to Foresight about 2 months ago. I'm like, yeah, I'll go, because I know we've got it going on.
That's cool. Well, yeah, I think what I wanted to do today was just kind of see, try to give some clarity to, let's just say that the angle of attack measurement that's sort of been going around. It's in short game especially, it's been a big hot topic of, should you be double digits down, 10 to 15 degrees down with your chip shots and your pitch shots. And now I don't necessarily want you to sort of answer that, but because that's sort of up for interpretation as to like the different shots and trajectories and all that good stuff.
That's your world.
Yeah. But what I would ask of you is, hey, what is how is angle of attack measured with the Foresight devices? Could you just kind of dive deeper into that?
Yes. Great question. So you start with the club face and you put our 4, we call them fiducials, on the club. 2 on the heel, well, 1 heel, 1 toe, which defines the center and the distance from the sole of the club. And then you've got 2 more on the toe, which help define the club face, the plane of the club face. And those 4 combined now, as the club's coming in, we're watching that. And we are taking multiple images of those dots coming at the ball. And we literally curve fit the motion of those dots coming towards the ball. And with that, we can get a very, very accurate measure of angle of attack, club face angle, loft, direction of that head, the speed, of course. So all the things that you need as a coach or someone as a fitter or a player who's just using it to help them understand what the club is really doing when it comes in to the ball. And then that's where you come in as a coach. Like, what do you do with that information? How do you hit really good shots?
So when you talk about those fiducials, obviously there's a variety of shots. Like if I'm hitting a flop shot, maybe my club works on more of an arc that looks more like a V, right? If I'm hitting an 8-iron little bump and run, maybe my arc works a little bit more on a U type of a shape.
Yes.
How much does that play into the angle of attack reading?
The angle of attack reading is going to be what it is based on what you're doing. It really is simple math. And I said fiducials, that's a big ass word. Those are retroreflective markers, right? So we've got light coming at the club. And if you were to see the image of this club coming in, you would see these 4 dots. And we literally just take the motion of those and turn them into all the numbers you need. So you are correct. There is a variety of angles of attack. I'd even throw closure rate in there, right? The ultimate dynamic loft, all of the things that can happen when that club's coming into the ball. We're just measuring them. And you're right. Players can have a huge variety of angles of attack on different shots.
So as I've played around with my quad, one of the things that I've noticed is that that my angle of attack reading is greatly influenced by my ball position to hit these different shots. So if I'm going to hit a bump and run, I can play the golf ball in 3 different spots. So I could go forward in my stance, middle of my stance, back of my stance, and make the exact same swing, and I'll get. I did one the other day, 3 degrees, 6 degrees, and 9 degrees of angle of attack down, making what I felt like was the exact same swing, which for me on that shot was a 4-yard putting stroke motion with my 56 degree.
Mhm.
So I guess my question to you is in my mind, angle of attack was greatly influenced by my ball position.
Yes. You kind of described it a few minutes ago when you're talking about the arc, right? So if you've got the same exact arc, so same swing, same, let's say you've got your center of gravity relative to your personal center of gravity relative to where your feet are. You keep all that the same, and you put the same swing on it. Weight forward as you're coming down on the ball, and you've got this arc. Imagine if I hit it back, it's going to look really steep. If I go forward on the exact same arc, now I've greatly reduced the angle of attack because it is an arc. And that's exactly what you're seeing in those 3 different ball positions. And as you know, you will get 3 very different golf shots out of that, very useful golf shots out of it.
Absolutely, depending on what type of trajectory, where the pin's located, what you got to go over, or if you're just trying to hit a runner. I did one the other day. I started. I haven't posted any of these videos yet, but I did one the other day where I literally just hinged the club straight up, straight down on my AstroTurf, and there was a little bit of give there, so it wasn't. I can't say that it was on actual grass, but I have had readings on my device hitting higher shots. I've had readings where it's read up 2, up 3, up 4 on a wedge shot, like on a high flop shot. I've had those with grass that's obviously like a little bit higher off the ground. The ball's not sitting like on hard pan, right? There's a little bit of cushion there, and I've had readings where it's read up. So anyway, the one that I did the other day, the ball was sitting here. I went straight up. I went ball position slightly forward, but I went straight up, straight down, and this club reverberated off of the ground, off the AstroTurf. Yep. And it read. I had one that read 20 degrees up. I had another one that read 10 degrees up. And so to me, my ball position in relativity to like basically where that arc was traveling, my ball position made the biggest difference on the angle of attack reading. Would I be somewhat accurate in saying that?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Back to the arc thing. And then what you're describing on the coming little like straight down on it, as we're taking, it's a very high sampling rate of it's basically like a strobe, if you want to call it that, of these fiducials or retroreflective markers coming down at the club, right? I mean, at the ball, I'm sorry. And if you're contacting the turf just in front of the ball, right? I should say in back of it. I was thinking about our physics, right? From a golfer's physics, it would be just behind the ball, right? Those dots are looking like a series of marks, and they are going to go in the opposite direction. If you're bouncing that club off of the ground, and if we're taking the sampling just before the ball starts to move, the system's going to say exactly what you saw. Hey, dots coming down. Let's say it's about an 80-degree angle of attack, and then it bounces off the ground, and those dots are now going up. He says, "Oh, you went up 20 degrees at it," because it's going to be relative to the marks on the club and the ball starting to move, and that's what you're seeing. Yeah.
So, are you guys taking all of that pre into account and then post as well, or how is that measurement being read? Is it in relationship? Is it at max compression? Can you just sort of explain that for people?
Yeah, it's at impact when the ball starts to move. Okay, so we're looking at all of those markers and the relative XYZ position over time. And so we are calculating, we're measuring those positions. And then we are, like I said, curve fitting, which is extremely accurate, all of that information so that we can predict when the ball starts to move, what was the club doing? Not predict, we're measuring it. I got to stop saying predict. We are measuring the crap out of all this, right? Yeah. So we're telling you what the club is doing as that ball starts to move. So that's the relative speed, attack angle, closure rate, the face angle to path, dynamic loft, all of that. That's what we're giving you when we give you those numbers.
Okay, and you guys can see that because you're face on. You can see exactly when max compression is versus guessing, right?
Correct. There are some systems out there that are doing their best to estimate what is happening to many of those parameters. We're the one that's measuring it. We're watching it. We are watching it. We've got stereoscopic, just like your eyeballs, right? The reason you can see depth is because you have two eyes and that they're getting information at slightly different times. You're like, oh, then that object is so far away, and your brain knows it. We've got the same sort of brain in the device. So you got stereoscopic cameras, and it says, okay, I know exactly where that thing is in XYZ space. I know what time it was there, so I can calculate based on all that information exactly how fast it's going, exactly where it's going. So being able to measure it is huge.
Yeah. So, quick question on why on one thing that I'm thinking about, which is obviously the golf ball on a driver comes off very fast.
Yes.
Right. On a wedge, especially like a wedge that's going to be spinning a lot more, 30, 40, 50-yard shot, that golf ball feels like it stays on the face a little bit longer. Is there much of a difference from first contact to when that golf ball actually leaves the club face? Is there much of a difference as far as like how that ball stays on the face, how it interacts? Does the club start moving more down? Like, are there things that with a partial wedge shot that has a lot of spin, that has a lot of grip on the face, like, is anything different versus like a driver?
You are crossing into all of my worlds because I've done golf balls, golf clubs, and now doing the measurement devices. Yeah, there is a difference, and a lot of it is, there's two really, really basic things from a physics standpoint. It's how fast is the club going, and what is the loft of that club when you hit that ball. And then, of course, there's a lot of other stuff. There's hit location. Is there any debris in front of between the ball and the club? Let's just make it simple. Clean contact, center the face, and you've got a driver and a wedge. From a total contact time, I don't know that there's a lot of difference between the two. You ask that one, like, I don't know for sure. But what I do know, what I do know is that the more loft you put on the club, you think driver, not a lot of loft. Wedge, a lot of loft. The ball is trying to slide up that club face. And a lot of people used to think that, the ball rolls up the club face and that's what's generating the spin. It's actually not the best way to generate spin. You could do it that way, but you're not going to generate nearly as much as if the ball literally sticks to the club face. Like a Velada ball of yesteryear, now that, the soft urethane balls of today, the ball club contact is it's pretty much stuck there. And the ball tries to move up the club face. And so it's almost like this, it's like a spring, like a torsional spring in a watch. You're winding that thing up. And when it comes off the club face, now it spins.
I think we've all had that, right, Yags, where like you get that wedge shot and you can see the paint stuck on the face.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't do that with a driver or really any other iron. It really does that with most of like pitching wedge and down.
Yeah. Once you get above like a 9-iron in loft, there's a lot of torque on that golf ball. There's a lot of torque on all the shots, but there's a lot on the wedges. And occasionally you do see that, the paint on there, or if the grooves are really sharp, it's going to take a little paint, a little bit of cover. That's because it is trying to move up that club face because of the loft, right? It's a glancing blow now instead of a pretty square blow with the driver.
So what is the best in your opinion? What is sort of the best way to generate spin on a 10 to 30 yard shot? Is there a way to that you guys have sort of found is the best way to generate spin, or is that not something you can really speak on?
Well, I talk across all of those different aspects of golf again, the golf ball, the golf club, and what you're doing with it. One, I would play a relatively soft cover tool-like golf ball. There's a whole bunch of soft urethane golf balls out there now that
you have to have that.
Yeah, you got to have that. Yes. Yeah, you really do, especially on that 30-yard shot.
Yep.
And then I
dry conditions.
Yes, dry. Yes. Clean your club. I'm not going to name the tour player, but there's been a couple times where, like, this thing doesn't spin, right? Like, well, if you keep the club clean, it actually will spin, by the way. So keep the club really clean. Yep. Keep the grooves clean. Yeah, everything clean, 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 clean. And then you've been coaching people, right? You're coming down on it, and you can come down on it on a couple of different angles, right? But you want to hit it right in the middle of the club face and come down on it and just nip it and hit that ball first. Ball first.
I would say low contact also on the face.
A little low on the face. That does help. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Just a little, not super low, because super low can be a tragedy.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So I mean, like grooves sort of 2-3, 2-3, 4. Yeah. And I guess that would lead me to my next question would be, if I do hit on groove 2, 3, 4, does that change the direction of the club and how it's being measured?
It's exactly what you just now when you made this motion like this, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting nerdy now.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you strike an object and you're hitting it not through the center of gravity, we can all picture what would happen. That object's gonna twist, right? We've all heard moment of inertia. We've heard about twisting, but just any object. If you've got a chair sitting in front of you, you push it on one edge, it's going to turn, right? Well, what you just did was you described hitting the ball below the center of gravity of the wedge. And when you do that, that wedge is going to turn like this. And look what's happening from a gear effect standpoint. See my hand? It's subtle, right? But you're generating even more spin. That gear effect is like this. You hit it above, and look, you're de-lofting. You're increasing the loft, and you're generating
less spin.
Less spin. I can't say top spin because you're still going to get back spin, by the way. Always, right? You're just generating less spin. So more spin, less spin. That's why you get these flyer lies, but in this case, we're talking about spinning the ball. So I agree.
Totally.
A little low in the club face, right? You're going to get a little more spin from gear effect, and you're going to get a lot of spin from clean ball, clean club, good contact.
Okay. So I want to go to that good contact part that you just talked about when you said ball first. So I want you to imagine that shot that Rory hit 2 years ago in the Ryder Cup when he was down in that hollow. I know you've seen a million videos of it. I always stop and watch it every time it comes up, right? Yeah. And Rory has talked about that, and he's basically called it a duff spinner. Like he hits the ground first, right? The bounce kind of keeps him up on top of the ground, and he hits it on that low part of the club face. And that ball, I mean, obviously he was way low, so he had to hit it high. So it's probably like a 35 to 40 degree launch angle, but it had a ton of spin on it. Is there a way to sort of quantify that duff spinner? Let's just call it the duff spinner, like where it's ground contact first.
Mm-hmm.
The bounce keeps you, like we were just talking about, the bounce sort of keeps you surfing on top of the ground, and it allows you that low face contact. And then that helps you with grabbing more spin. I remember Ping had done a study a handful of years ago, and I had heard about it. I haven't actually visually seen it, but I had heard about it from a number of different really, really high level coaches. And they had talked about if there was a little bit of debris, a little bit of grass that got in between. Not a lot, but a little bit that got in between the club face and the golf ball. It would almost act as like the ball would start to actually roll up the face. The club would be moving in a direction. Now you've got two objects moving in opposing directions, and it could potentially create more spin. Is that something that you've ever heard about?
Okay, so let's talk about the first part. You asked how he hits that shot.
Yeah.
I don't need to add anything. You described it perfectly, by the way.
All right.
Yeah, you did. Check.
Okay.
The second one, here's what I would say from a physics standpoint. I think we're convoluting spin and launch angle. The combination of the two makes that ball fly a little bit higher, because as that ball wants to slip up the face, it's going to come out higher. Okay.
Okay.
Well, here's my prediction. If you were to measure all that with the player and say, look, I just hit that shot, be like, well, your spin dropped a little, but your launch angle dropped. I mean, so your launch angle went up a lot. So you think you're doing it because you're spinning it a lot. The reality is it's just going to come in steeper and it's still got a decent amount of spin. That is my 2 cents on what's really happening on that shot.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, maybe next time we're at Foresight, we can kind of go out and
Yeah.
measure that one a little bit, because I do think, I've hit that shot so many times, and it's like I want to know sort of exactly what's happening. It'd be
Yeah.
because I know that I hit the ground first, and yet
Yep.
I'm generating more spin than if I had maybe hit the ball first. But I do hear what you're saying, because that shot does launch a little bit higher, and so when it does land on the green, it really grabs.
I accept the challenge, and I'm super excited to go out and try the shot. Yeah, because we clearly have the measurement tools. Yeah, we can measure this. We can measure the crap out of it and find out exactly what's happening. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The part about bounce. Let's talk about bounce a little bit. I know you're on the golf club side for a long time. You've been on the golf ball side. Now you're on the Foresight measuring side. The term has sort of been thrown out there, like bounce doesn't matter. Bounce is useless. Bounce doesn't matter with wedge play. I mean, to me, I think that's fairly ignorant, because in my opinion, I've played, and I've played with a 4-degree bounce, and I played with a 14-degree bounce, and I know for sure that for my shots around the green, it makes a huge difference. Talk to me on your take on does bounce matter, or is it completely useless?
I'm going with you. And I'm going to chime in the word you said, ignorant, right? I'm just going to say ignorant from the real meaning of the word, right? It's not a bad connotation. It's just they don't know, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they just can't tell, right? There are probably some players, like, they're not delivering the club consistently enough, right? It's like the bounce isn't going to do much difference because they just got to deliver it better. But when you get to a point, right, in your skill level where you're delivering the club pretty consistently, and I would say all irons, we could talk about bounce on metal woods too, but let's just stick with irons all the way through wedges. Tour players and players like yourself can take like 2 swings and go, nope, right? So you can't tell me that it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
There's no way in hell. So past life, Ricky Fowler has a wedge that he absolutely loves, and it was hand ground by Ben Showman. And it could be tough to replicate that grind over and over and over again. No disrespect to Ben, right? That's a tough for any human.
Hard to do. Agreed.
Yeah. So we take the one that he really, really loves at the time. Cobra scans it. They create a CAD model. They print it. It's identical now to the wedge that he loves. Takes 2 shots, goes, yep, that's it.
Wow.
And we're talking about 2 wedges where if Ben hand ground one to match the other, you couldn't tell. You're in there with feeler gauges and you're looking at it and you're like, yeah, that looks pretty much the same. Ricky's like, nope. But then you give him one that really is, and he doesn't know it, right? Hits it, he goes, yep, that's it. So anecdotal way of saying bounce matters. Yes,
bounce matters. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I've had clients like I'm talking like scratch really high level players that have come to me. They've been in a 4-degree bounce because they're like, it looks really good, just setting the face and it sits low to the ground. I have to use it because of that. And I'm like, well, every one of your little chip shots is going this way with no spin. I said, just for shits and giggles, let me give you something different. I give them a 14-degree bounce, like just the total opposite.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, like without changing technique or anything, this ball comes out low with a bunch of grab on it. And they're like, what in the hell? I haven't seen that shot in ages.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, bounce matters, right? Like that 14-degree bounce is keeping them on top of the ground a little more, allowing them that lower face contact versus, that 4-degree bounce. Like if they're coming in like this, there's nothing to keep it up on top of the ground. It just goes and now it hits groove 5, 6, 7 potentially.
Oh yeah.
And then you get that lollipop.
We've said it like numerous times now. Bounce matters. People, hey, I'm talking to you right now. Go work with your local fitter, your instructor, whatever, and you will find out quickly that bounce matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And anybody who's listening who says it doesn't, you're crazy, because it does. Yeah.
Well, and again, if we're playing a variety of shots around the green, which obviously we know, you know, you got to go high, you got to go mid, you got to go low, you've got to hit out of the bunker, you got to hit out of the rough, right? Like you have a variety of shots to hit. Obviously, finding the right bounce is going to matter. And I always tell people, if you're living in Seattle or you're living in Amarillo, Texas, you're playing two completely different grinds and completely different bounces.
Absolutely. Yes. Totally. Yeah.
So I mean, okay. Well, at least we know that bounce matters. That's probably a good thing. You've seen it on the golf club side, on the golf ball side, and on the Foresight measuring side.
Yes. Oh yeah. All my worlds. Yeah. There's no doubt.
If we try to somehow break this down for the normal guy, the regular Joe who plays once a month, who could potentially be confused by a lot of the jargon going around of like, hey, you've got to be steep or you've got to be shallow. And by the way, I'm not one to be like, hey, you have to be shallow. I'm telling you, tour players, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but tour players for their wedge shots are between 4 degrees and 8 degrees down for most of their wedge shots around the green. That would sort of be their stock shot. Am I off on that, or am I correct?
Nope, you nailed it.
Okay, so if we're the average guy that's looking, they've got their Bushnell device, they've got their Foresight device, whatever it is, they're hitting shots in a sim. What should they be looking for? What can they take out of this big conversation that we're having? What should they really be paying attention to?
Man, my stock answer has always been go talk to a really good fitter. In this case, a wedge fitter, right?
Okay.
Or a good coach, right? So what do we say to those players if they're not going to do that, right? Because you're talking to them. You're on the tube and you're talking to them. How do we talk to that guy who, I'm not going to go see a fitter. I just give me some help here. Number one, I'm going to tell you, yes, bounce really matters, right? And you just mentioned it. If I'm playing in super soft conditions, Parker says you should be playing more or less bounce.
More bounce.
Okay. Right. And if I'm down in Texas and it's hard pan, I should be playing
less bounce.
There you go. I mean, that's a great start.
And then you blend that with the swing type. Like what are you? And a perfect example that I always like to bring up is, Scotty Scheffler. He uses somewhere between a 4 and a 6 degree bounce in his 60 degree. And then his 56 degree, he's got 14 degrees of bounce. In his 52 degree, he's got 14 degrees of bounce. So he varies them depending on how he wants to use each club.
Got it. And what would be the conditions or the purposes of those clubs with the higher bounce? What's he trying to do with those?
Well, he does not change. So he will keep the 56 and 52. Those stay the same all year round. But he will go with a T grind, which has 4 degrees of bounce some of the times. And then I believe he won both of his majors this year with a low bounce K grind. So a little wider sole, great out of the bunkers, but it's got lower bounce. So and again, it's sort of one of those clubs that it's like it gets here and it just kind of stays. It allows him the ability to feel like he's not going to dig that club into the ground as much. Even though it's got a low bounce, the wider sole helps him feel like he stays a little bit more on top of the ground.
Yeah. So I hate my previous answer was kind of a cop-out answer, like go talk to your fitter or good coach, right? But you nailed it. You nailed the reason as to why. Because we could tell you what to do here on the tube, but we don't know how you're actually delivering the club head, right? And if you're a very shallow player, you're going to need a different type of bounce than if you're a very steep player, right? It's super critical to understand how you're delivering that club head. And as you've illustrated, and I could give you 1,000 of them, it makes a huge difference. It really does. Players, you just said a few minutes ago, like, wow, I haven't hit that shot in years. You see yourself. If you're watching a mirror, or you're watching a player do it, it will light up when they start hitting shots they've never hit before because they've got the right equipment in their hands, right? The right loft, the right bounce with the swing that they have and the shot they're trying to hit. It's huge to get that all right. And it's not trivial. I've said this is one of my favorite lines in golf. It's not trivial to figure that all out. And for somebody to think they can figure it out on their own,
That's hard.
Tough. It could be
It's hard.
tough. Yeah, and it's worth the time. I mean, it's worth the time to if you spent an hour with someone getting fit for wedges, it could make like multiple stroke difference in your game.
Yeah.
Now, what player wouldn't spend 1 hour to save 4 strokes in a round?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I think, I mean, and sort of to that point, it's like, and the reason you go and get fit is because not any two swings are the same. Not any two chipping motions are the same.
No.
There is no real one size fits all.
No.
Which is sort of it's being purveyed right now that there's like, hey, one size fits all. You have to have a vertical swing plane above 85, and you've got to have double digits of angle of attack down for your shots around the green. And it just makes me cringe because it's not really what's actually happening. There's so many different ways to chip a golf ball, and there's so many different types of shots.
So, do you remember Phil Rogers?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, a god in the short game world.
Yes.
Did wedges for Cobra for decades. One of the sweetest, kindest, nicest human beings I've ever met. Taught Nicholas short game. Well, gave him some short game lessons in probably late 79, early 1980. Do you remember what happened that year?
Yeah.
And he won the PGA Championship and the US Open. He flat out said, Phil really helped me. So I got a chance to hang out with Phil. And I don't know if you remember how many trajectories he said he had on a short shot. I'm talking like from here to this tree, which is like 15 feet away.
Okay.
How many different trajectories did Phil say he could hit? How many different shots?
Oh, gosh. I mean,
was,
I would say the low end would be 9.
It's 9.
Was it?
It's 9. It was 9. And I stood right behind him. He hit every single one of them on command.
Wow.
So you just said a few minutes ago, like there's so many different ways to deliver that club and the shot you're trying to hit. There are. And I'm not saying somebody needs to have 9 ways to hit a little chip shot, but somebody might have 3 or 4 in the repertoire.
Yep.
So you need to understand the conditions of the ball on the ground, the ball, the club, how you're going to deliver it to hit that shot.
Yeah.
Well, we all fired up. I want to go practice my short game.
Yeah, I know. And I think, a lot of those things that we try to do to hit those different windows is we play around with the club face.
Yes.
We play around with the shaft.
Yeah.
We play around with ball position. And then, you play around with length of swing, type of release, direction of swing. You play around with all those different things to create what it is that, okay, the lie is telling me X. The shot, the terrain in front of me is telling me Y. Okay, well, that's going to mean I need to do X, Y, and Z with my shaft, with my club face, with my ball position, with my swing type. All that type of stuff sort of plays in, right?
Yeah. Oh.
There's no one size. There's no like one size fits all. That's the thing that drives me nuts. It's like there is no one size fits all for this thing.
I don't blame you, right? Okay, like take for example, full swings, and look at the number of different full swings on the PGA Tour, right? And there's a lot. There's
so many.
Yeah, so many. Now you might multiply that by 10 or 100 when it comes to a short game shot.
Right.
Yeah. Because all those full swings, it's like the ball sitting on the tee, right? It's not moving. It's clean and it's up there, right? So clearly there's hundreds of different ways to deliver the driver. So imagine now you've got a shot that's 20 feet, but the turf conditions change. Is the green surface above or below you, right? Is it running away from me, or is it, it's uphill into it? I mean, it's not infinite, but it's close. It's close. Totally. Yeah. And so there's so many different ways to do it.
So many. And this kind of got me thinking was like, okay, we know like the ball sitting on a tee, you're trying to hit up on it. You're trying to, like optimize like launch angle, spin, all that kind of stuff. Now, what I would say is, okay, that's great. We're trying to hit it as far as we can, but we also need to hit it straight.
Yeah.
Right. So I've worked with a couple of players that have said to me that are great drivers of the golf ball on the PGA Tour that have said to me, if I were to get on TrackMan and try to get fully optimized, I would lose my card next year because their swing type is not fully optimized. They might hit 1 degree down on it rather than 4 degrees up on it. But but also, if they did hit 4 degrees up on it, they don't know where it's going. No. It might just go like that.
there's a reason why some long drive competitions have been won with one single pull of the grid that's over 50 yards wide, right?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to hit it a long way and they don't know for sure where it's going to go. And if you're in a U.S. Open and you're like your legacy, putting money on the table, whatever it is on the line, you're going to hit down on it just a little bit, and you're going to make sure that ball stays in play. Yeah,
Totally. So now, if we took that to short game, right, we're talking about good ball contact, maximum spin, whatever it might be. My argument on the other side, like that's fine, that's great for Instagram videos, and it gets lots of clicks to try to put as much spin as you can on it.
Yeah.
My argument on the other side of that would be PGA Tour players are not looking to maximize spin for shots inside of 30 yards.
No.
Really, or really ever, right? They're not really looking to maximize spin. You always hear tour players talk about, I'm trying to take some spin off of it. And I'll give you a quick little, I went and talked to Lou Stagner, who's a stat guy on Twitter, and he's a great follow. And I said, Lou, I was on the PGA Tour, 2006, 7, 8, and then I believe it was in 2010 when they then changed the grooves on the wedges. Remember this?
Oh, this is going to be my example. Keep going.
So they took it from a square groove and they had to make it into a V groove and make it much smaller because USGA and everybody thought, well, these guys are spinning the ball too much. They're able to control it too much. We're going to take away some of that, right? And you know what? It actually happened. I asked them to look up 2006 to 2010 versus 2010 to 20.
Oh, I know what happened. I know.
Proximity got what?
Closer.
That's right.
Closer.
So the less amount of spin equaled these tour players getting the golf ball closer to the hole because the spin was so unpredictable with their wedge shots. And so I lived through that era, and it was like, my spin, it was like sometimes I didn't know if it was going to come up 10, 12 feet short, and then other times it was like, well, that one didn't grab and now it's 10, 12 feet past. If you weren't relying completely on spin and you were blending spin with height, land angle, you were able to get that golf ball closer to the hole. Anyway, go ahead. I'll let you talk.
No, you nailed it. It's so funny too because let's see, there's so many facets to this. I have buddies at the USGA. I like them. I get along just fine with them. Okay, I've gone beer with them, play some golf. That whole groove thing was much to do about nothing, and the people that actually paid the biggest penalty for that was the
manufacturers.
Well, the average.
Oh, the average player.
Yeah. When you talk about paying the penalty from a financial standpoint, club manufacturers had to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to make that happen, right? And then your average player, who actually does benefit from a little bit more spin, because if I don't spin it, it's gone. It's off the green, right? So it's a question of, can I keep it on the green or not? But with the tour players, you're right. They want to control the spin. And it's funny. I was at a manufacturer at the time, and literally the prediction was tour players are going to hit it closer to the hole because their spin is going to be much more controllable. They're going to be able to understand it better. And sure enough, they did. So it had the opposite effect of what the USGA wanted to happen.
Totally. Yeah. And I think, we always look to the tour players to say, like, okay, well, how can we, as an average golfer, I teach them every day, a normal golfer, how can I be more like a tour player? Well, for sure, I can't get you to hit a 330 like Bryson. I can't get you to hit towering iron shots like Scotty, but I can get you to chip it and putt it pretty close to a tour player. Maybe not the creativity and all that kind of stuff, but I can get you making some very simple motions that will help get you the golf ball close to the hole. And one of the things we do is, you blend a little bit of land angle with a little bit of spin. Perfect. Right? Like,
nailed it.
I'm not needing you from 30 yards to fly one and then rip it back. Like, that's not what we're looking for. But I do love blending some land angle with some spin, learning how to hit a 9-iron bump and run, get it just on the green and let it run. It's short game. I feel like it's not about maximizing spin. It's about getting the ball close to the hole, right?
Yeah. It's hitting the right shot.
Choosing the right shot. Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, if I've got 3 feet of a fringe to fly over and I can't putt it, and I've got 60 feet of green, I'm hitting a 6-iron, right? And I'll hit the 2 feet, and my buddies will go, "What'd you just do? What was that?" I'm like, "I got to spend some time with Paul Runyon years and years and years ago." Again, another little point, another short game wizard.
Yes.
Right? And he's like, "Mike, you got to get the ball on the ground as quickly as you can, right? There's just too many things can happen. If the ball's in the air and it lands and it does whatever it's going to do, get the ball on the ground." I'm like, that makes sense. And so I've adopted that. There are times you want the ball in the air, right? You want it in the air, you want to spin it, you have to, right?
Yep.
Other times, like, no. So I will use whatever club it takes to get the ball near the hole. I don't care. Yeah.
Totally. And I think that's an interesting conversation, because I think that the best players in the world are great with one club. They're great with their 60 degree.
Yeah.
I would say the greatest players in the world, like we're talking the next level, are great with a variety of clubs around the green. They're not just locked into their 60, right? So, like, I mean, I've walked a lot of practice rounds with Scotty, and he will take a variety of clubs to wherever he's about to go and chip. And he's like, okay, I'll hit a couple 60s. I'll hit a couple 56. I'll hit a couple 52s. Let me grab a pitching wedge. And it's like, he's getting great with a variety of clubs. I think that there's really good players on the tour that are great with their 60 degree, but they're sort of locked in with that.
Yep. That works.
I would say the amateur golfer like should learn how to chip with a 7, a 9, a gap wedge before they even move into clubs with loft.
You know what? I totally agree with you, because there's so much variation. So working with Arcos, which I've done for years, I looked at the data early on and found that the distance progression made perfect sense all the way through the clubs, right? Like, a 5-iron was shorter than the 4, the 6 was shorter than the 5, all the way through. And then the data on the 60, even around the greens, got really weird. It's like, oh, this makes no sense. Oh, it's because it's kind of a lot of loft and it's kind of hard to hit, right? Yeah. And you're looking at the data like, they hit these short, they hit a long, because you're right, it's just a harder club to hit. If you're going to spend a lot of time with it, like if you're going to sleep with that thing and you're going to like really learn how it works on all those shots, great. But I agree with you. I would get better at the lower lofted clubs first. They're easier to hit and easier to control. Yeah.
I mean, I always tell people, like, how can I chip it with my 60 better? I'm like, practice 8 hours a day. Like the tour players practice 8 hours a day, and you will get better with your 60. It's not, and I went through a stretch where I was like not practicing that much, and it's like I noticed a decline in my chipping with a 60, and it was like, well, yeah, because I'm not practicing 4, 5, 6 hours a day with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I went down in loft, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier. I'm getting the ball so much closer. Yeah. It's interesting.
That's sage advice. That'd be like a really good chef saying, I want to use that super sharp knife. Like, it's a sharp, that looks like fun. Yeah, go ahead. You might cut your finger off, right? But have some fun with it.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. I don't know how much you're aware of the measurement vertical swing plane. And if you're not, then we can kind of just wrap. But I would say, like, vertical swing plane is, sort of the, are you familiar with that measurement?
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
Am I an expert in it? No. Can we just talk about it? Sure. Let's go. Yeah. We'll see what happens, where this goes.
Is there, I mean, obviously you guys are measuring, more face on, being able to really see that golf ball, and see that club face coming into that golf ball and the reaction that's happening when that collision occurs, which is spectacular. The vertical swing plane is more, looked at more from down the line. How much does that, like, do you find that would be a helpful measurement for driving the golf ball, irons, wedges?
So then you're catching me off guard here. This is fabulous, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't measure the swing plane, right? We are measuring the club head. So you can infer what the swing plane is from the club head measurement, but we don't know for sure exactly where the club shaft is, or your hands, or the rest of your body. Okay. Does it make a huge difference? Absolutely. Because I'm just thinking like my world, which is if I'm coming in way flatter,
Yep.
from a club head standpoint, which means my swing had to, right? Because it's connected to the rest of me. That is a much different shot than if I'm coming in steeper. Okay.
Yep.
Much different. And if it is does it make a difference? Yes.
Yeah, it
No
does make
doubt
a
about it.
difference. Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now what you do with it, I would come back to you, Mr. Expert, Mr.
Cool.
Swing Expert. Like what do you do with it? Because we could probably infer pretty damn accurately what it was just by watching what the club heads do, right?
Yep.
But there is droop. There's droop in the shaft, right? From the shaft plane down to where the club is. But the inference of vertical swing plane from the club head measurement is probably going to be pretty darn good. So now, what do we do with it?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the question is like, in my mind, there's, again, like we talked about 100 times already today, there's a variety of shots around the green. Each shot is going to call for a different type of, I think, a different type of swing plane. If I'm going to hit a little itty bitty, like bump with my 56 degree, I'm going to get much closer to it. And this shaft is going to, rather than laying like this, it's going to stand more up this way because I want to engage a little bit more toe. And
absolutely
right. And so I would have a different vertical swing plane with my setup being much closer to the golf ball than I would if I was going to hit a 30-yard shot. It would lay a little bit more flush to the ground, right? And sort of have my lie angle. That would be my vertical swing plane with more of a 30 to 50-yard shot.
So tell me what you do then if you're going to hit like a 20-yard lob shot. You have to, like, we actually have to hit it. What happens to your vertical swing plane then?
Well, I think it would go more up.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, like it depends on the lie because if it's a lie that is if it's a lie that's a bit more like hard pan, I would go more up with it, and I would pick it straight up and I would throw it straight down on it.
Got it. Yeah.
But I would also exit that club more left, and I believe that the vertical swing plane takes both sides of it, from the club head from knee height on the into the golf ball to knee height on the trail side of the golf ball. And so I would, to me, I would, if I were to go that way, where I would cut across it basically a bit more with my swing direction going more left for me as a right-hander, that vertical swing plane wouldn't read quite as high.
Yeah. Gotcha. So
I don't know. I just think that there's a variety of shots, but there's also that, there's also the flop shot that I would hit where I would go more this way, and I would open the club and I would lay that handle way down like I would in a bunker shot. That's the other one to do it, right?
The bunker, I'm thinking, I said 20 yards, and I agree with you, 20 yards. My brain is also thinking, like, when I'm right around the green, I get my hands down, right? And you can just flip that thing up, and the ball.
It'll give you some good height.
Yes.
But sometimes when you lower that handle, though, problem is this guy gets involved, and so if you got some wet surfaces, right, this guy is going to want to dig a little more, which is what we want in the bunker. We want some dig underneath, but I don't know if I necessarily want that if I'm going to hit a flop shot from some wet turf. I wouldn't necessarily lower my hands and really get this guy digging in. So it all depends on the lie, right?
It does. And then if some of that goes back to the previous conversation of like 20 minutes ago, bounce. Just now, when you laid that club, you put the handle down, right? Got the toe up. You might need some relief in the heel of that wedge.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Just and I've seen a buddy of mine, Jose Miraflor, Cobra Club guy, right? He will take a whole bunch of relief out of the heel, and that's my special ground from him. And he's a little short game wizard. That's why I call him Little Rat.
I would do that when I was on tour too. I had a higher bounce wedge, but I would take a bunch of that heel off so that when I did throw my hands down in the bunker, that heel wouldn't give me the reverberation. Like in the bunker, if I'm going to lower my hands, I want that dig. So if there was, some bounce here and I lowered my hands, like I want that to go away because I want it to dig.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it in the bunker. I want it to dig. I don't want it to, I don't want a ton of bounce here and then have it reverberate and go out.
Yeah. So that's like the bounce matters
Yeah.
thing. Vertical swing plane matters. Where that shaft angle to vertical, right? Matters. I mean, look at you just described. If I'm next to the green and I've got my 8-iron out, right? I'm probably getting that ball closer to my feet, and the shaft angle relative
More
to vertical it's pretty
Yeah.
steep, right?
Totally.
And then I've got a shot that's like 5 feet behind me, and now I'm in the rough, and my vertical shaft angle goes to like this.
Yeah.
Is there massive variation?
Massive variation.
Bounce matters. Vertical swing plane matters. All of it matters.
Yeah.
Man, it's also awesome.
Yeah, I know, it's so fun, right? There's so much different creativity and different uniqueness, and you see guys like, like Patrick Reed, one of the best chippers of all time. His vertical swing plane is basically what his lie angle is, sort of.
Yes.
Like probably maybe a little higher, but probably in that high 60s, right? To 70. Justin Rose kind of lives there too. That Cam Smith, Jason Day, like these guys kind of live there. But then there's other guys, Bryson, I would say, who's overturned every stone in an effort to optimize his game, right? Have you spent any time with Bryson?
I have spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours with Bryson. And yes, I've never met a man that works harder at his craft than that dude. Yeah.
And so obviously he's got a longer wedge, right? The length of it is longer. So he's going to be a little bit more rounded with his swing plane, right?
Yeah.
But in an effort for him, like I look at him and I think, man, he has overturned every stone in an effort to optimize his golf game. Correct? Yes. With his golf ball, his body, how fast he's swinging, his clubs. He's trying to optimize everything. His putter. So with his wedges, I find it quite interesting that he's more rounded, and it doesn't have a huge steep angle of attack. I think I've seen it at around 5 degrees for his stock shot. So it's like for him hitting like little chip and pitch shots. So to me, I'm like, well, that guy's done the work. He's like really looked into it. And if he felt like something was like, hey, this is crazy optimal for how I get the ball closer to the hole, he would do it. And to me, it speaks volumes that in his mind, he's trying to get the ball as close to the hole as possible. And he's gone with a vertical swing plane that's close to 67, 68, 69, and a angle attack that's around 5.
Yes. Although, hey, Bryson, if you're listening, or out there listening, I still think that from a wedge to a 2-iron, those are called irons, and those are 1 length. And then those things that have like 52, 54, 58, 60, they're wedges, and they don't have to be the same length as the irons. Yeah. I really believe that.
I would agree with that.
And if you went to just a little shorter in the wedges, Bryson, I think you could control that club head a little bit better, and you could be an even better golfer.
Yeah.
I hope he's listening. I thought he was going to know. It's the first time I told him that.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Yes.
Well, man, thank you so much for taking time and rapping with us. I hope everybody learned something. I know I did. But I think it's just fun to have this conversation to talk about short game in a way of like, hey, we've measured it, but beyond the measuring part of it, like, let's not forget about what the end goal is. The end goal is like, how can we get the ball close to the hole?
Yes.
And there's a variety of shots to hit in an effort to get the ball close to the hole. And again, reading a lie has a lot to do with that. Then choosing your trajectory and your shot shape has a lot to do with that. So, and in each of those types of shots, it is fun to be able to measure, hey, what does an 8-iron look like when I hit a bump and run? What's a 56 degree look like when I open the face and try to get it to spin? What's a 60 degree look like when I try to go straight vertical and hit a flop shot?
Yeah.
What are those numbers, right? Like, I think that's the fun part about it. But I think what we could probably both agree on, we've agreed on a lot, but what we could both agree on is that there's no one size fits all when it comes to short game.
No, there's so many ways to get the ball close to the hole. And you've got me all jacked up now. I'm going to go out and practice this afternoon. I got a game tomorrow. I'm going to go practice my short game. And I recommend that to everyone. Just go out there, be a kid again. Go hit all those shots that Parker just described. And it's so much fun. Figure out how to get the ball close to the hole. And you will save strokes. and you will take money from your buddies. Yeah.
That's the whole fun of it. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. I'm honored to be a part of Team Foresight, and thanks for all the stuff that you do. And can't wait to get in the lab and measure some more with you.
Oh, we're gonna have some fun, and I am honored to be on here with you, and great to be on the team with you. So thank you.
I'm super stoked to be a part of Team Foresight. I was always a feel player, and to be able to put my feels with numbers and actual data is really cool. For the people at home that are on the fence of like, hey, should I get a quad? Should I get a GC3? Should I get a Bushnell? Like, what's the reasoning behind in your mind for an average guy who wants to start improving on their game? Why should they grab one of these devices?
Well, I'll get all psychological for a second. You mentioned the numbers, right? Well, the numbers drive awareness, right? And awareness drives like knowledge. And then it gets to confidence. And so ultimately, I think the numbers are going to get you to a place where you're really confident. And I would say, like, as an engineer, right? Or if you're building a house or you're doing anything, it's like, okay, I'm looking at this and I think I'm going to cut this 2x4 at like maybe 12.5 feet. Well, you didn't measure it. So the guy cuts it and it's like, well, actually, I need a 14 feet, right? You've got to measure things to become aware of what's happening so you can change, right? And make it better. And I would say this, like, over the years, you've heard people, the last 20 years, they went from, oh, wow, what's your club head speed? To, oh, no, what's your launch angle and your spin rate? Okay. Now it's like, oh, what's your attack angle? What's your face angle and impact? Where are you hitting it on the face? I mean, if you really want to know why a golf ball is going where it's going, you need to know what you're doing to drive that golf ball. And I don't mean drive like off the tee. I'm talking about like any shot. You need to understand why it did what it did. And there's so many things that can affect it. We've already had this conversation, right? It's club head speed. It's attack angle. It's where you hit it on the club face. And if you're not aware of that, you can't make a change. And I'm going to keep babbling. As a teacher, you know darn well you've watched a player who thinks they're about to fix their slice, and they do the exact opposite thing of what they should do to fix a slice because they just don't know. So there's my impassioned plea to people. It's like, if you've got a teacher or a fitter or a coach or whatever with a GC quad or a quad max or a GC3, get on that thing. Get on it, because it's going to help you understand how you're delivering the club and why the ball is doing what it's doing. And that's the best way to get better. So there.
Love it. Now I'm excited to go practice. Let's go.
There you go.
All right, yeah. Thanks for being with us, buddy. Super grateful for your knowledge and your insight.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.